Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I am Jason Whitlock, your host. Thank you so much for joining me today. Happy Thursday. Glad to see all you guys here. We're almost to the end of another week. You can smell it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. And we got the Christmas stuff up here. Anyway, fantastic show planned for you today. Bill Belichick's going to be the head coach of the University of North Carolina. Wow, that's amazing. I got some more to say on Caitlin Clark. There's trade rumors for LeBron James. People talking about, should LeBron James move to a different team and should the Lakers be allowed to rebuild? The National Football League sticking with Jay-Z, and so is Stephen A. Smith. And Lamar Jackson's going through his humiliation ritual. He's sharing with the world. He likes perfume made for women. We'll get into that. Shemeka Michelle will join us. Steve Kim was just around the corner. Before we do anything, though, I want to remind you all to go to fearlessmission.com, visit our site, get all the information about what we have going on here at Fearless, and become a subscriber. Need you to ante up and push your chips in with us to help us fight. This culture war is not over, even though Donald Trump has been elected president. We're just at the beginning of this culture war. Go to fearlessmission.com, use the promo code FEARLESS, and you can save $20 on your yearly subscription. That's the promo code FEARLESS. You can save $20 on your yearly subscription. Do that today, please. I want to thank First Cup Coffee for today's episode. First Cup is a Christian-owned Patriot coffee company that stands for core values, family, and building community across the nation. First Cup's freshly roasted beans are delivered in ground or whole bean, pods, and bulk. Go to firstcup.com, use the promo code FEARLESS, and save an additional 10% on your order. And if you subscribe, you'll save another 10% for the life of your subscription. Thank you, First Cup. Let's bring in our man, Steve Kim, the Korean co-cell. Steve, Bill Belichick, according to ESPN and Seth Wickersham, who's written some great stuff on the Patriots and their dynasty, he's got a nice piece out today where he basically says that Bill Belichick is giving a big F you to the National Football League. He's disgusted by what the NFL has become. They've kind of rejected him last offseason. It doesn't look like this offseason he was going to be in high demand, the kind of demand that a head coach with 6 Super Bowls and an assistant 2 more should be in. Steve, your thoughts on Belichick going to North Carolina and that part of it being an FU to the National Football League?
Is it an FU or is it a realization that his NFL window, for whatever reason, has closed? Now, I feel as though this is a very interesting move, but I will say this. Given some of his personal decisions, Bill Belichick has shown that he can recruit college-age individuals. Now, with that said, the changing landscape of college football, where now this is becoming de facto professional football in the guise of the NIL and the transfer portal. In fact, he's bringing in Mike Lombardi, one of his old lieutenants, to basically be the general manager of that football organization. Maybe this is the best time to ever do this type of move. I don't think this is really all that similar to Bill Walsh, because back then college football was still separated from the National Football League in a lot of ways. And Stanford has very rigorous academic standards that they hold even athletes to. Here at North Carolina, Jason, I read they've already said we're allocating $20 million to our fine student athletes for NIL, also known as pay for play. Also, from a personal standpoint, if you go back to his own history, Belichick's father, Steve, was a legendary coach at, the Naval Academy. So maybe this is going back to his roots. But, Jason, to circle this back around, if there was an NFL job that he was interested in and it was mutual, I don't think he makes this move.
I'm going to disagree with you. And have you had a chance to read Seth Wickersham's story?
Yes.
Yeah, well, the reason I disagree with you is I think last year he wanted to coach in the NFL. The more he sat with this issue and evaluated, he's like, hey, man, I'm going to have to surrender control to these layers of management in the National Football League that are being established that I don't want to subject myself to. And I just want to coach football. I don't care about, what is he, 6 victories away from catching Don Shula, or was it 13 victories? I can't remember, but he's within striking distance of catching Don Shula. And he's like, nah, I'd rather go out on my own terms. I would rather have control rather than a lot of these. And he can't say this, and I'm sure he would avoid saying this, and he would deny that this is any part of it. But he's like, they're installing DEI everywhere. And I don't want to do that. And now he's going into a college arena where colleges certainly believe in DEI, but maybe he believes there'll be less of it in the football program, considering all the leverage he has and all the money they're going to invest. But now I think he reached the conclusion like, yeah, the NFL's kind of done with me. I'm done with the NFL.
Yeah. Okay, but keep this in mind. When it comes to player personnel, he was his own GM. And look, and I'm not sticking up for Jared Mayo here. He may be doing a terrible job, but a lot of those players on that squad, on that very bad team, Belichick picked them. So if you look at Belichick's last 4 or 5 drafts, he hasn't exactly been Brad Holmes. The other thing we did not bring up, Jason, his son. I guess there's a deal in place where he's the coach in waiting. Yay, nepotism. Okay, if it's good for LeBron, it's good for Belichick. That, to me, is the most fascinating aspect of this deal and the riskiest portion of it if you're UNC. Yes, you're getting Bill Belichick, but you run the risk at his age of him saying halfway through the year, I actually don't want to coach. Maybe this college game, maybe I don't even like it anymore, or what it was when my dad coached it. Certainly isn't. And then, has there been any indication, Jason? Have there ever been any reports or sources telling you, man, Belichick's son, that's going to be a great head coach? I've never heard it. That doesn't mean it's not true. But the fact that now you have to basically bequeath the next guy, no matter how bad Belichick may or may not be, to a son, you're rolling the dice here if you're North Carolina. Maybe it's worth it. Maybe it's not. We'll find out.
Well, let's keep in mind, Lord, let's introduce what North Carolina's real agenda here might be. I think it's larger than, hey, we'd like to win the ACC. Hey, we'd like to be competitive and go to bowl games consistently. Hey, we'd like to win. I think it's larger than that. I think Belichick makes North Carolina attractive to the Big Ten. And so I think that's why this deal is being cut in reality. And if Belichick steps away after 2 years and they got to put up with 2 or 3 years of Stephen Belichick and his incompetence, but they're in the Big Ten, I think they'll live with that, given the way the landscape of college athletics has moved. You need to be in the Big Ten or the SEC to be a real player, and that's what a lot of this move is about. I don't think Belichick's going to walk away easily. He's not going to, and again, there's no guarantee he'll be successful. College football, and counting on young 18, 19, 20-year-old kids who can hit the transfer portal at any time. It's a high-risk endeavor. But I think Belichick's motivated. Again, I'll go back to the quote early on in this ESPN story. This is according to a Belichick confidant. It was because, in the words of a confidant, Belichick is disgusted in what he believes the NFL had become. This is a big F you to the NFL, another confidant said. He's disgusted by what the NFL has become.
Okay.
I think.
Has he seen what's going on with college football? Okay, with the transfer portal, the NIL, I don't think the college football realm has actually evolved. You could make an argument it's devolving, but this is the great experiment. As a college football aficionado whose favorite team is in the ACC, I'm very curious. And Jason, I just cannot wait when he drops his first. Well, we're on to Wake Forest. You want to talk about Wake Forest? Let's talk about Wake. Okay, I can't wait to see it. Line them up.
Steve, I would think, I'm speculating here, the act he did in the NFL won't be the act he does in college football.
Really?
It's no different. People
at that age.
That's my speculation. Yeah. Well, Steve, it's a different discipline. It's no different than if we were on a talk radio show, I would behave differently than being on a television show. And I would write different things in my column that I was like, oh, this isn't appropriate for TV. This isn't appropriate. He's capable of doing more than one discipline, I think, because I think he's a smart person. He's a student of the game. I think he knows what he's getting into. I don't think we're going to see the same act in college, at the college level. He knows he needs to be a bit more of a personality. Listen, here's the other layer of this, Steve, that Belichick, we tend to know, is a Donald Trump supporter. And so when I hear him say disgusted, and he can't say it flat out. He can't even, his confidants can't say it about him because it's too high risk even right now. But what's the whole MAGA movement, or what's kind of underpinning, energizing a lot of, it's like, hey man, we're tired of this DEI BS. We're tired of the attack that white men are evil and they're incompetent and they're responsible for every travesty that's ever happened. And so I think looking at the NFL and all the woke BS and how much they've empowered Troy Vincent and all the racial stuff that's going on in the NFL, and you got to check this box and check this box, you got to interview. They're giving away draft picks if you hire this coach. Bill Belichick can't say it, but he's like, man, they just gave Gerard Mayo my job. And yes, I've had a couple, 2 or 3 bad years, but man, I got 30 years of receipts, and they just gave this job to Gerard Mayo. And Steve, this is what people don't want to, they never talk about these candidates, black candidates, the same way they talk about the white candidates. What did we hear about Bill Belichick and this North Carolina thing? And he's got a 400-page document on exactly what he would do, his whole vision, every detail. He's got a 400-page document. When we hear about a black coach, do we ever hear about the 200, 300-page document they put together? Or do we just say, hey, they're black and they deserve a chance? Gerard Mayo got this job. He got handed this job, Bill Belichick's job. And Bill Belichick's pissed about it. I think he'll be motivated. I think if we read into his politics, he's right in line with a lot of momentum that a lot of white guys have, and just evangelicals or conservative people like me. He's right in line with all that. It's like, we done remove merit from all of this, and I'm going to go somewhere where I feel like I have the best chance of establishing a system based on merit rather than DEI.
Jason, you make a good point. Look, Bill Belichick will always be a Patriot. There's no doubting that. Absolutely. However, keep this in mind. Remember what Mike Gundy went through a couple years ago because he wore an OAN t-shirt and Chuba Hubbard started whining about it? And again, I get it. That was a different time and place in America, even though it was only 3-4 years ago. Yeah, the George Floyd situation. And Mike Gundy basically had to capitulate his own personal beliefs over a t-shirt, over a television network. The whole player empowerment movement is not just the NFL. It's actually gone into college football. Now, I want to point this out about Belichick. He's a more personable guy than the caricature that has been depicted. Because when it comes to actually talking football in different media spaces away from the post or pregame press conferences, he's actually very expansive. He can be kind of funny. I wouldn't say downright charming, but he is personable. We're going to have to see more of that. And Jason, from a schematic standpoint of football, the Bill Belichick system, there's the beauty in it is that it's not a set system. Literally over a 16, 17 game National Football League season, he'll have a different defense every single week. It's like an amoeba. I don't know if you can implement that in college with the practice time that you have. I don't know if players are as focused. So it'll be interesting if he could actually simplify this enough so that young teenagers who may not be engaged anymore, because I still have a theory where Coach JB is, I think, absolutely spot on. When you give these kids all this money right off the bat in the name of NIL, how much focus is there on football as there was opposed to when you played at Ball State?
A lot less, but again, you wasn't talking to the most focused college football player. I was hungover half the time.
Well, good for you. Good for you.
No, not actually good. But on a more serious note, Steve, I think Belichick is saying that, hey, these guys in the NFL, they're no more mature than the guys in college football. They're more talented, but they all suffer from arrested development. They all have been treated and coddled because, look, football is the genetics lottery. It's a genetics game. You got to be so fast, you got to be so big, you got to be so strong. And so these guys quit evolving around age 10, 11, 12 years old. So what he's saying is like the players aren't any different at the pro or college level in terms of maturity, in terms of focus. They're going to go out and buy their gold chains. They're going to want to listen to rap music. They want to do all this silly stuff. Where can I have the most freedom to try to impose my will? Is it in the NFL where they got this players association that has all these rules and regulations about when we can practice? Because I'm not sure if you get less practice time in college than in the pros, because the pros are restricted now. The players union has basically said these guys don't have to practice. The offensive schemes, as JB says, in the pros, they're all just dumbed down college schemes now. The game has changed at the pro and college level, at the pro level down to college, and now the head coaches that they're empowering, everything's about being the player's BFF, and can you relate to the players? And he thinks there's the only chance I have to prove that my way still works is in the college game. I don't want to pretend like me and Bubba Cunningham, the athletic director for North Carolina, have been talking, but I've known Bubba Cunningham for a long time. His first job as a full-time athletic director was at Ball State University. Bubba and I, I don't want to claim too much credit, but he allowed me to participate in the hiring of Brady Hoke at Ball State. I got to know this guy relatively well. He's got the right boss. This guy thinks outside the box. He's very creative. He's not going to get in Belichick's way. You can trust his word. I love this move for Belichick. That's not me saying I think it's going to work, but I fully understand why he made this decision and what it means and says about the National Football League. The National Football League has said, we don't need you. We don't need
Jason?
Vince Lombardi. We don't need Bill Walsh. We don't need Tom Landry. We don't need Bill Parcells. We don't need Bill Belichick. And Bill Belichick's gonna say, okay, you think you don't need me, but yes, you do.
I agree with everything you say. And again, North Carolina will become appointment viewing for at least the month of September next season. But I am very curious to see what happens 3 games into it if his starting safety and his starting linebacker come up to him in separate meetings. Hey, coach, yeah, I'm going to do for we've decided that we're going to sit out this year and we want to retain our eligibility and save a year. So we're sitting out. We're just going to redshirt. I wonder how he's going to deal with that. Or
here's what you're underestimating, Steve. Here's what you're underestimating. you wouldn't believe what these pro athletes come into their offices and say and demand and like, hey man, I was blown out on coke last night. I can't practice. Or showing up to this has been going on forever. So in his mind, he's like, it can't be any worse at the college level. The craziness and insanity I deal with at the pro level, it can't be.
Well, I'm with you, but again, pro players have contracts, which in theory they have to live up to. Players can just hit the transfer portal at any time. It seems to be full-blown anarchy. And there's a difference between the college game from, let's say, even 5 to 10 years ago to now. There was a reasonable expectation that every year we're going to lose about 15 to 25 seniors, and then we have a recruiting class that's going to replace them. So it's about 20 in, 20 out. Now, basically, from the time that you kick off, the season ends, you now have to re-recruit 85 to 100 young men all over again. It is a different job. Just keep that in mind. That's all I'm saying.
Butter, you want to weigh in as an arbitrator on this?
Yeah, I could arbitrate. Belichick's a coach. He wants to coach. I wish he'd be a little bit more patient. He's better suited for the NFL. He needed to sit out another year. They're not ready for him. He kind of looks like the guy that had a really bad breakup, a bad divorce, and the person went on to go marry a supermodel and win a Super Bowl, and he's just been left behind. He's become a sympathetic character, and instead of just waiting it out and finding another really hot, beautiful wife, he's hit bended knee and engaged to the side chick, and I feel bad for him. I think it's a bad look.
Butter, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Basically, he's got hurt feelings and he's acting emotionally rather than logically. He's been dumped. He's shocked. What?
You needed to wait just wait another year, Bill. She's coming around the bend.
Well, guys.
Steve, your thoughts?
Butter makes a good point.
That's
but
some of your best work, Butter.
It is. But Bill did go on a youth movement of his own. Okay, he's okay. But to your point, Butter, what you're saying about a coach wants to coach, you're absolutely right. It reminds me of my favorite line of all the Rocky movies. Rocky and Adrian go on their first date. They're at the ice skating rink. He has to bribe the guy, $10 for 10 minutes, and they're skating around very awkward. And Adrian says to Rocky, why do you fight? And he goes, because I can't sing or dance. That's what he does. This is what Bill Belichick is. He is a coach.
I got to say I'm moved by Butter's argument that because now it does bring in like his decision making on this girlfriend. That's what has really bothered me about Bill Belichick over the last year. Seriously, just I mean, if it had come out that they had a fling, and she was his friends with benefits that he kept on the DL. That's one thing, but they're out and about.
They're going to the Cheesecake Factory together.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, and
wait a minute.
That's where I'm like, what is going on with his decision making? He's taking his little midlife crisis.
It's hurting him.
College girlfriend fling. He's taking it public.
Whitlock, wait a minute. I don't even know who you are. Yeah. So having a one-night stand is better than having a committed relationship. Really?
It's more understandable.
With a 24 or 25-year-old, I could write it off as like temptation was too much. He had a few drinks and like he made a bad decision. But when you go public with it and that's your girlfriend and you're Bill Belichick, that's a lot, man. That's a lot.
All right. So some guys buy a Corvette at his age. He gets a younger girlfriend. Let the man live. My God. How judgmental are we here? Jeez.
I'm just, as it relates to just decision making, and I'm just 72, he's Bill Belichick, he's got kids. Now, and again, he's going on a college campus to coach, and now he's going to have to deal with all these jokes about him at the sorority house. He's not the first major college coach that likes young women. and have had Larry Brown was notorious at Kansas.
Brown.
When he was at Kansas, Larry Brown was notorious at Kansas.
Really?
Yeah.
Rock Chalk
Yes.
Jayhawk.
Yeah.
Larry Eustace, Iowa State. Remember him? Remember him? Larry Eustace.
Yes. Yeah. Larry Eustace's a friend of mine. Yes. I remember.
Oh, really? Bring him on. Bring him on.
He was at, Larry's on a whole different deal, man. Larry's probably reading his Bible right now.
Well, God bless
maybe
him.
he's watching today's show, got a little smile on his face. But Larry came and spoke at roll call or participated in roll call. I love Larry. But I'm just, Butter, you've said something here profound that puts me in a little bit of a skeptic. All right, we're going to move on, though, because I want to talk some more about Caitlin Clark. But before we do that, let me talk about and share with you all about our primary sponsor, Preborn. A new Danish study shows that a year after aborting, women exhibit a 50% higher likelihood of first-time psychiatric treatment and an 87% higher likelihood of personality and behavior disorders. Getting an abortion takes a toll on a woman's emotions and mentality, and it causes problems. Preborn's network of clinics is positioned in the highest abortion areas, and they're fighting for mothers who are deciding between life and death and potentially exposing themselves to some sort of mental health crisis in the aftermath of killing their baby. By introducing a mother to her child on a free ultrasound, the chances of that mother keeping the baby and choosing life more than doubles. That's when Preborn steps in, steps up, shows the mother and the baby God's love by providing additional assistance for up to 2 years. There are babies in mothers' wombs who need our help right now. As the year comes to a close, your tax-deductible donation can be the difference between life and death. Would you consider a leadership gift to save babies in a big way? Your gift of $5, $10, or $15,000 will be used to save countless babies. And now, through a match, your gift is doubled. To donate, dial pound 250, say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, keyword baby. Or go to preborn.com/fearless. That's preborn.com/fearless. Sponsored by Preborn and Dan Steiner. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Preborn. Steve, Caitlin Clark, I talked about it in great detail yesterday. I'm still emotional about it. I say that in all seriousness. It's haunting me, what's going on with Caitlin Clark. I've seen people trying to somewhat rationalize it. I saw Dan Dockett, who doesn't miss many shots, doesn't throw up too many air balls. He was kind of making some excuses. I wouldn't say excuses, but like, hey, just kind of let it go. It's no big deal. Dan lives in Indiana, and so being critical of Caitlin Clark while living in Indiana is probably pretty difficult. But Caitlin Clark doubled down last night at the Time Magazine had their Athlete of the Year or Person of the Year banquet or ball or whatever, and she was there, and she's getting interviewed. Here, let's watch Caitlin Clark double down and talk about white privilege.
Yeah, your announcement for Athlete of the Year, like tremendous, incredible positive feedback. That's what we've seen across the board. There's always going to be some negativity. And I feel like you have had to answer more questions than anybody about the intersectionality of race and gender and sexuality in sport, because of just who you are and you represent the growth of this thing. And even earlier today, Megyn Kelly, she was saying that you were apologizing for your white privilege and the fact that you wanted to uplift Black female athletes and make sure that they were getting the shine, kind of like your pioneers were getting the shine that they deserved. And I just want to know how you feel or how you respond to some of those criticisms when you have to deal with something that it's really not your problem. Like, I feel like it's them looking in a mirror a little bit, but it still comes down on your shoulders.
I feel like I always have had really good perspective on everything that's kind of happened in my life, whether that's been good, whether that's been bad. And then obviously coming to the WNBA, like I've said, I feel like I've earned every single thing that's happened to me over the course of my career. But also, I grew up a fan of this league from a very young age. Like, my favorite player was Maya Moore. Like, I know what this league was about. And like I said, like, it's only been around 25 plus years. So I know there's been so many amazing Black women that have been in this league and continuing to uplift them, I think is very important. And that's something I'm very aware of. And like I said, like I try to just be real and authentic and, share my truth. And I think that's very easy for me. Like I'm very comfortable in my own skin. And that's kind of been how it is my entire life.
Yes. And you'll never be able to make everyone happy. And someone that knows that at the age of 22, like, let's go.
Share her truth. So
oh, God.
She's
that's
getting interviewed
one.
by Maria Taylor, who's the host. Anyway, Steve, what's your truth on this?
Oh, my God. I didn't hear this. Anytime anyone says my truth, that means you have to live out a lie. Wow. They really got her. But Jason, I'm not emotional. You know the way I feel about this. But for you, this had to be worse than when the Fat Boys broke up. And watching you guys take down the Caitlin Clark trading card or that big poster on your wall, it was kind of like when Joe Paterno's statue got taken down at Penn State. I was like, wow, but Jason, this was more predictable than Joe Biden pardoning Hunter. You knew it was coming. Like you just knew it because look, the reality is Caitlin Clark is great, does not make her gutty. That she is talented, but she is not tough. And you knew she had to bend the knee. But I wrote a tweet yesterday, and certain people got upset, you know which ones. And I just said, look, for all of you championing Caitlin Clark's declaration, will you now be part of the change that she's saying that she wants? Will you go out there and support the games, either through ticket buying, NBA, WNBA season ticket packages? Will you buy the paraphernalia? Okay? But on the flip side, Jason, I challenge you and the other Caitlin Clark, maybe former fans, will you have the courage of your convictions to say, okay, we're done. Don't watch the games. Don't support her. Don't even bring her up. Make her dead to you. It goes both ways. Well, Jason, what do you say?
It will not be difficult for me not to watch her games.
Okay.
That will not be difficult.
All right.
Look, my love affair with the NBA stretches back to when I was 3 or 4 years old. My dad used to take me and my brother to the fairgrounds to watch the Pacers play in the ABA. When I decided I didn't like these players, and I don't watch NBA games. I watch a little inside the NBA from time to time, mostly in highlights, but I don't watch. Now, will I watch some playoff games in the NBA, mostly to root against LeBron? Yes. But I don't watch the NBA. I don't like the players. They became too political. They became too pampered and spoiled. Russell Westbrook and his scolding of little kids and fans and all this other stuff. These guys are so far removed from reality, I just can't watch them. And plus, they just jack up threes. And they play a bad form of uncompetitive basketball. Same is all true. What Caitlin Clark represented and where my disappointment, and a lot of people's disappointment was like, oh, we finally have a star who in the women's sports who's not wagging a finger and being preachy and talking about, America's been unfair and women haven't been treated right and we need more money and blah, blah, blah. And so we just finally had to, she plays an interesting style and she's not wagging a finger at us. She just wagged a finger at us with what she's done here. And I call her Megan Rapinoe light. And I'm like, okay, in 3 years, in 4 years, she'll be Megan Rapinoe full blown. And I really believe that because she has folded here. I don't put all the blame on her. She received no support from the league. They let these angry black lesbians assault her, talk about her in a way that was unfair and probably caused her mental duress. And she just wants it all to be over. And so she thinks I'll make peace by telling them what they want to hear. But it's not going to work. It's never enough.
Jason, in life, whether we admit it or not, We aim to be envied, not pitied. And what Caitlin Clark actually is doing is pitying those other players. And here's the reality, and a couple of people pointed this out to me on X. The WNBA was actually on the back of a bunch of black men. They're called the NBA. They have been supported financially through and through decades of losses. Okay, they're always in the red. Okay, never in the black because of men. The other thing that's interesting is Ock Nation tweeted at me about my tweet, said, Steve, no. Those people won't do anything. This is about white people now having to support the black players. The ones that are campaigning and celebrating this statement, they're not going to do anything. See, if there's one thing that brought people together, black and white, throughout the last 28 years, that black and whites ignored the WNBA in harmony and peace. They were in lockstep. If there's one thing they could agree with was we don't give a damn about them. But that is actually the white guilt that now Caitlin Clark is disseminating is, hey, you guys that are supporting me, that only support me, now I have to support all these other players that actually hate you. And I'm going to stick by this. Their political and social stances that they have taken have made them incredibly unlikable. That is not a moral or immoral statement. That is the truth. They have turned off a good portion of America with the things that they have espoused, which are actually anti-American and downright Marxist. And I do not blame anybody for cutting the cord and saying we're done. But what I am saying again, and I will repeat myself, is not only have the courage of your convictions, have some consistency with it moving forward.
The Time magazine story, if you read it in its totality, there's a section in there where they take a dump on Caitlin Clark fans and basically call them racist. And one of the Indiana Fever former players, Tammy Fagbenle, basically says this, that Caitlin Clark fans are racist, blah, blah, blah. And so Caitlin Clark, she's at Time magazine, she's accepted this award, she's taken off. Well, you got to take that entire story, Caitlin. And so you're comfortable, Caitlin, with a story painting your fan base, a percentage of it. Is it 10%? Is it 20%? Is it 50%? What? As racist. She knows that that's not true. And that's not what her fandom is about. But she doesn't have the courage to defend them because she wants to make peace with the people that have taken her hostage. I get it. And this, again, where I'll go back to, you don't send women to the front lines of war. If they get captured, they will surrender and fold up quick. I'm not knocking them. That's just how they are. That's how they're built. Christine Brennan, the USA Today reporter, Hall of Fame sports writer, been fighting for women's sports for 50 years, is huge Caitlin Clark supporter. In that story, Caitlin Clark takes a dump on Christine Brennan and said, I can't believe someone would ask that question. I thought it was so inappropriate. When Christine Brennan asked Dejanay Carrington, did you stab her in the eye intentionally? There are people that think that. It's a perfectly legitimate journalistic question that has to be. Caitlin Clark's talking about, I thought that was inappropriate, and she supported the union that wanted to reprimand Christine Brennan, one of the greatest allies that women's sports have had over the course of 4 or 5 decades. You want her reprimanded and punished by the WNBA, all because you want to make peace with the women that have taken you hostage. You can give a damn less about Christine Brennan. It will be easy for me not to watch. Will I continue to talk about Caitlin Clark from time to time? Probably, because I'm going to be interested in what the ratings are like next year, or in this upcoming season. I want to see how many of us because I think she's undermined the passion. The people like myself and these other people that are upset, these were her most passionate fans. I watched every game. I bought the WNBA package because of Caitlin Clark. She sold out here. I feel bad. There's some sympathy I have for her. But at the end of the day, it would have been very easy for her. And I think she should have done it. I'm good, Time. I don't need your Athlete of the Year award. I don't need you to validate me. Your Time. Go ahead.
Okay. Here's a question, though. Very serious question. And I'm sure many of the fearless army want to know. There is now a vacancy on your wall of fame. Who replaces that empty spot? May I suggest somebody? I'd say
Please.
Michael Irvin. Michael Irvin, the playmaker. Now that's a guy with spirit. That's a guy with a pioneering attitude. That's a guy with some masculinity. And he was a playmaker. What do you think? Pretty good, huh? And he went to the U.
I am a huge Michael Irvin fan.
There you go.
Simply because, man, that guy really has a passion for Jesus Christ
Everything.
and faith.
And
Obviously, he's a little flawed. So I put Michael Irvin I put him in the same lane as Ray Lewis. But Ray Lewis is my guy, and I love watching him play. But you got any other, me and the U, I was never really a U guy. Was never really a Cowboys guy. I'm trying to think of who could be. And my initial thought was, I'm looking for a female athlete.
No, yeah, get out of here. Now you're pandering. Now you're pandering. Good grief.
Yeah.
But again, no, I want to keep it real, though. And it's got to be a female athlete that I actually enjoyed, but I don't know if there is one.
I got a guy.
Go ahead.
I got a guy that embodies the spirit. Yeah. And this is the guy. And again, I know it's your wall, but many people said it's my show. Marvelous Marvin Nathaniel Hagler. Now, there's a guy that embodies the work ethic, the pride, the dedication, the discipline. Plus, he was involved in the greatest 8-minute fight ever against Thomas Hearns. 8 minutes of hell and fury. Marvin Hagler, that's the guy. Let's get that going. Let's get that going, Whitlock.
Let me make a suggestion here, Jason. Yeah. I think I can help put some clarity here. Why don't we open it up to the chat? And if 50 or 60 people agree with Steve, maybe we can do a temporary spot up there, and each week we can kind of keep updating.
I don't want to go temporary. I'm trying to think.
You want a permanent fixture?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Because I got this Brian Waters jersey. Now, a lot of people won't know who Brian Waters is.
Great lineman.
But he played great offensive for the Chiefs and the Patriots. May have had a cup of coffee with one other team. I can't remember. But Brian Waters, probably my all-time favorite Chiefs player, other than Derek Thomas.
Okay.
Yeah. I love Brian Waters. Was just he's a Hall of Fame NFL player, but he resume just doesn't have it. If they had won that game, that 17th game or 8 or whatever, that Super Bowl game, I think his Hall of Fame case, he would have been a star on that undefeated Patriots team, but they lost that game. I got his jersey going up. I think they're going to put it up today. And so, but I don't think I'm trying to think, is there someone off the Chiefs? Or maybe I go Darnell Hillman. Maybe I go, I don't know if you guys remember, there was an NBA player named Billy Knight, but I already got Reggie Miller up here representing my Pacer fandom. But my two favorite Pacers really of all time are Billy Knight and Darnell Hillman. I was sitting here trying to think about boxing. I'm not going Tyson, not going Larry Holmes, not going Ali.
Marvin Hagler.
Not going.
Hagler.
I'm trying to,
Hagler. Telling you.
Is there someone? You know who I should go with? You know who's not represented up here? Baseball. I should go Barry Bonds.
Tony Gwynn.
I should go Barry Bonds.
Wow. Okay.
You had John Rocker in here yesterday.
I should go all-time great, bro. Barry Bonds or Ricky Henderson. Barry Bonds or Ricky.
Yes.
J.R. Richard, I was a huge.
Today, I am the greatest.
Yeah. Anyway, put some suggestions in the chat. Yeah. Maybe I should go. You know what? Maybe I should keep it authentic to the show and put Tim Tebow up there. Maybe I should go authentic to the show and put Tim Tebow.
He's a Gator. Nah. He's a Gator. Don't like that.
I like a little audience participation.
I got one other one I could go. I could go Bernie Parmalee. He was my teammate at Ball State, played 10 years in the NFL. Blaine Bishop.
Good safety.
Blaine Bishop from Nashville?
Yeah, he played at Ball State, yeah.
Oh, he's on the radio here.
Yeah. Anyway, you've distracted me. We got more topics. Don't go anywhere, Steve. Hold on. I just want to take care of a little business. This is going much longer than I wanted to. Today's economic environment is still really stressful for a lot of us. But with the Fed finally dropping interest rates, there is no better time than now to put you and your family in a better financial position. If you're a homeowner, American Financing is helping thousands of families just like you who have been putting everyday expenses on credit cards get out from underneath that debt by tapping into their home's equity. American Financing is saving their borrowers more than $800 a month on average. $800 a month, that's like a $10,000 raise at work. And it costs absolutely nothing to find out how much you can save. They're closing some in as little as 10 days. And if you start today, you may not have to make next month's mortgage payment. There is no better time than now to turn your situation around. Call today, 888-976-5555. That's 888-976-5555. AmericanFinancing.net/Whitlock.
NMLS 182334, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Steve, trade rumors are engulfing your guy, LeBron James. And there's talk that maybe it would be best for LeBron to move on. Maybe it would be best for AD to move on.
Yes.
The Golden State Warriors have said, hey, maybe we should target LeBron and Jimmy Butler. There's rumors of that the Warriors are interested in LeBron and Jimmy Butler. Your thoughts on what the Lakers could do with LeBron James? Can they really cut bait? Wouldn't that piss off Bronny James, their up-and-coming superstar second-round pick? Do you really take the risk of trading LeBron James and getting crossways with Bronny James, the future of your franchise?
Jason, don't worry about it. The James family, they can provide good daycare. They can afford it. And as a Laker fan in recess, what is my reaction to these trade rumors? One word, please. You make this happen, Jason. You get that guy out of my life. Two things can happen here. Number one, I'd have a Merry Christmas, a great Hanukkah, and an unbelievable Kwanzaa. And I know I am not the only one. I've been getting a lot of reaction from my fellow Laker fans that watch this show on a daily basis. They're like, Steve, we're just like you. We are Laker fans in recess. To a certain guy out of Akron, Ohio, gets the heck out of our lives. But again, I'm not an NBA insider. However, I have an opinion here, and I think me and you talked about this a little bit yesterday. If LeBron James goes to, let's say, the Golden State Warriors, and they steamroll everybody, because with that loaded team or team that's still pretty good, I think it actually raises the stock and the status and the legacy of Steph Curry. Now, think about it. Everyone thought that Steph Curry was just this nice little guard that could shoot the lights out, but he's not really an all-time great. Well, ask Kevin Durant how valuable he may have been. Kevin Durant, since he left Golden State, has been basically a non-factor when it comes to the Larry O'Brien trophy. Now, if this trade comes to fruition and LeBron, who would play a role, he'd still be really good, but it would still be known as Curry's team, this would be the greatest thing to happen to that guy.
And you just made the argument for why it'll never happen, because it would diminish LeBron. It would diminish LeBron. It would elevate Steph, because it would be like, Kevin Durant and LeBron both came to Steph's house to secure championships and to be a part of it. Yeah, and it's not like everybody went to LeBron's house. They went to Steph's house. LeBron James wants nothing to do with that. Hey, I want to play you this clip of Steph Curry saying, I'm not Steph Curry, Stephen A. Smith saying, LeBron doesn't deserve to play with Steph Curry. This is it. This is halfway decent from Stephen A. Let's play the clip.
I don't want to see it because LeBron James does not deserve it. Absolutely not. He does not. I said, Bert, you heard me. LeBron James does not deserve to be with Steph Curry. Here's why. Stay your ass right there in L.A. You won a championship in the bubble. I understand the next year you lost in the first round. You had Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. You had a Kyle Kuzma. You had a Montrezl Harrell. You had a Alex Caruso. What do? You let all those cats go away because you wanted your boy Russell Westbrook. Now, I ain't throwing no shade on Russ because Russ looked damn good in a Clippers uniform. He's looking damn good in a Denver Nuggets uniform. He did not look good with the Lakers, okay? You wanted that, you LeBron James. And a lot of the mobility that the Lakers could have exercised if you had some of those pieces is something that derailed this franchise. See, a lot of times we get so caught up, Shay, we get so caught up, Perk, in the greatness of LeBron James, the individual player, and he's on the Mount Rushmore all time. I get it, okay? No shade there. But we get so caught up in his greatness as a player that we don't pay enough attention to the power of his influence and the moves that he compels to make that serves to derail a franchise like he did in Los Angeles.
I just all that genuflecting and all that. Well, let me add in no disrespect to Russell Westbrook, but he's averaging 11 points and shooting 39% from the field for the Nuggets. But I do think he's right. LeBron doesn't deserve to play with Steph Curry and to steal a championship. I want to tell you, I want to give you an example of how low LeBron's stock is right now. I don't think it's ever been lower right now. His lack of respect just in the sports world in general, and I think this is why he got off social media. Diddy destroyed LeBron James' reputation, and now it's just open season, and people can say whatever they want. Here's Colby Covington, UFC fighter, sitting down in the press conference, just like, before anyone asks a question, let me take a dump on LeBron James. Play the clip.
I'm going to start this off, since I'm the man of the hour, the man of the show. I want to ask LeBron, what does he mean by there's no party like a Diddy party? I truly want to know. And not only that, LeBron, how many Diddy parties have you actually been to? I'm really curious to know. And is that the reason you left social media? Because all the backlash you were getting for going to so many Diddy parties? It's just pathetic, man. People think this guy's a role model. He wants to defund the police, the most patriot people of America serving and protecting our country. LeBron, you're a scumbag, and I hope you get locked up in the same cell with Diddy.
Ooh. Woo! Uh-oh.
What was he saying? I didn't understand what he...
Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, Colby Covington is a very outspoken individual, but more than that, what a great American. What a true American. And you know what? He just wants to make the Lakers great again, and I am with that. Wow, that was quite. By the way, he said some other stuff about other people later in that press conference. But Jason, there's something that's very peculiar that is happening with LeBron's legacy, and I'm just speaking basketball-wise. The plan was for him to longevity his way into all-time great status above Michael Jordan. The longer this career goes, no matter how much he puts up in terms of sheer numbers, I believe that the public perception, that gap between Michael Jordan and LeBron is widening to a point that I think there's more appreciation now with people like Uncut Hoops, our good friend Scap Attack, Dreamers Pro, that are saying, wait a minute, he may have not surpassed Kobe, but beyond that, what about players like Larry Joe Bird, Magic Johnson, Akeem Olajuwon, who I believe is the most underrated big man of all time, certainly Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Oscar Robertson. Look, in my view, LeBron's top 10, but he's a lot closer to 10 than he is 1 when it's all said and done.
Brevity is the soul of wit, and LeBron has stayed past his expiration date and has given his critics a lot of fuel.
It's just like Kamala Harris. Everyone said, oh, she had to build the airplane in the air. The longer she had on the campaign trail, she would have lost all 50 states the longer she was in this election. Same with LeBron James. But Steve, the only thing I'll say to you, get rid of LeBron James. You still have Jeannie Buss. You guys are going to be in waiting and in mourning over there for a while. So I don't see greener pastures.
I know.
Anytime soon.
Butter, I cannot argue that.
I don't want to talk about the Lakers for right now. I want to. This is an all-time great athlete who has positioned himself as the king of all sports. And I know UFC fighters are different. I know they have a different level of freedom. They certainly have a different worldview than most of the mainstream athletes. But another athlete that has this little respect for LeBron James and uses LeBron as a trampoline to elevate themselves in this fashion. LeBron, this is why sometimes you exit stage left. You stay on stage for too long. It's like you live long enough and the hero becomes the villain. Yeah. Is that the saying or whatever? And he has stayed on this stage so long and he's provided now people material in this social media era where everybody goes on social media and puts out every thought that comes across their head, and he's never gonna live down. Ain't no party like a Diddy party. And because again, take a Colby Covington, anybody that moves in the elite athletic circles or celebrity circles, they know how much bogusness there is to LeBron James. And this whole little, I promised school and he's a role model. And LeBron's never been in trouble, and I just got to give him credit. He's such a great. They know how BS that is.
This is because of the fact that we don't speak about his game anymore. So now he's stayed too long, but now we're focused on who he is and what he says and what he does, because his play on the court is no longer the genesis for our conversation.
Well, also though, Butter, he chose to enter this arena. Michael Jordan just didn't comment on politics. LeBron James decided he's going to be on the police review board. He's going to be a spokesman for politicians and all that. He put everything in play. The man should have played basketball, retired, become a philanthropist and a businessman, a venture capitalist or whatever Michael Jordan's doing, and just run his businesses. But he wanted to run his mouth like he had an IQ above 70, and he doesn't. And this is the penalty. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, he wanted to be an activist. He really did. And it's always interesting. And I think the media is complicit in this. They always talk about his school that he supposedly built and funded. That's been debunked. But they never bring out the fact, literally, not a single child can actually do grade level reading or arithmetic. Right? And we're not exactly talking about Harvard of Akron here. Okay? And it's interesting because and we're kind of complicit in this. I mean, David Robinson's run a school for years that actually produces really fine young men and women that are ready to compete at the next level of academics in terms of their life. No one ever talks about that. So the media has been complicit, and this all goes back. And I know we're going off track here. I know I am. Clutch Sports putting their tentacles into the media, where they are now not just unbiased arbiters of truth. They now become basically a part of Team LeBron. So all of this is interwoven in together.
It is. Steve, I want to move on. I want to talk a little, but before we do, before we're going to move on to Roger Goodell, before we do, I want to talk to the audience about the Center for Academic Faithfulness and Flourishing. Everyone knows that college is a major investment, so it's important to do your homework. You want to find a school that shares your values, but that also but who has time to dig through all the websites to find out what really matters? Well, today I'm excited to share a new online resource that does the work for you, ChristianCollegeGuide.com. This online directory of more than 250 Christian colleges is a one-stop shop. Like any other college guide, you can view all the basics, acceptance rates, tuition costs, academic majors, etc. But here's what makes ChristianCollegeGuide.com special. You can use this guide to learn about a school's faith tradition, its campus policies, and its spiritual life, all the info that shows a college's true character. You'll find answers to more than 150 questions for every school profile, making this the definitive guide to Christian higher education. And the best part, this college guide is free to the public. That's right, free. Just go to christiancollegeguide.com to create a user profile and get started today. That's christiancollegeguide.com. Steve, Jay-Z has become a bit of a laughing stock and a target. I don't know. Did you catch the clip of Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith and Shaq laughing hysterically? Kenny brought up Jay-Z and Charles like, that's not the right time. That's not the right time for that.
Too soon.
Everybody, too soon. Everyone started laughing uncontrollably because Jay-Z's been accused of child rape, 13-year-old, and he's put out a letter denying it, although there's a documented history pretty much of he seems to be attracted to 16-year-olds and maybe even 15-year-olds. And there's a bit of a dating history with Aaliyah. And anyway, the NFL, he's involved in this civil suit. Tony Busby out of Houston, the guy that represented all of Deshaun Watson's alleged victims, is involved in this. People started asking the question about, like, man, is this going to affect Jay-Z's relationship with the National Football League? Roger Goodell, the commissioner, so far says no. Let's listen to the commish talk about Jay-Z and Rock Nation.
But, we're aware of the civil allegations, and Jay-Z's really strong response to that. We know that obviously the litigation's happening now, but from our standpoint, our relationship's not changing with them, including our preparations for the next Super Bowl. The first part of your question is how the relationship's evolving. I think they're getting incredible comfortable with not just the Super Bowl, but other events that they've advised us on, helped us with. They've been helpful in the social justice area to us on many occasions. They've been great partners that have provided a lot of value for us.
Goodell did not sound super confident there. He sounded like a man searching for the right words. He's got to defend getting in business with someone in the rap music world who's got a library of music that's profane, misogynistic, debaucherous, immoral, buffoonery, promotion of drug dealing. And the NFL, let's get into business with that guy. Let's make him in charge of all of our entertainment. Smart move, Roger Goodell. And you did it because he's black and you wanted to look diverse and you wanted to shut up Twitter and black Twitter from criticizing you. And here's what comes along with that. Accusations that a musician who did music with R. Kelly is potentially a pedophile. But not easy to back out of. And he's talking about Jay-Z's strong response. Jay-Z's response sounded childish. It sounded like an immature man, throwing a little tantrum and trying to bully Tony Busby. But anyway, your thoughts, Steve.
Well, I mean, Jay-Z, the benevolent neighborhood pharmacy. Look, I believe in the legal system. Innocent until proven guilty. I get that. But we have to be honest about this. If this was a white rock star or anyone that's white
Morgan Wallen.
Yeah, you'd have some issues. Then all of a sudden this whole Me Too influence would be great. But Roger Goodell has boxed himself in because of the decisions that he's made and the philosophies he's had towards the league with certain movements, certain people. I think he's at the point of no return until that there's some sort of conviction or some sort of handling of this lawsuit, a conclusion of it one way or the other. I believe that he's painted himself into a corner where, for better or worse, he has to stick with Jay-Z. And quite frankly, I think he's afraid of the blowback that he and the league will get from certain media members certainly individual journalists, you know who they are, and of course, social media.
And look, he could be sitting back and saying, this is going to take care of itself. Eventually, there's going to be a blizzard of accusations and alleged victims. Now, I'm sure Jay-Z's cutting a lot of checks and has cut a lot of checks and signed a lot of NDAs. But when Tony Busby gets involved, it tends to be an indication of like, it's like a welcome mat gets put out, or, hey, we're open for Jay-Z allegations. You got your lawyer right here. And there's going to be such a groundswell of us that he's just going to have to settle and start cutting checks, no different than Deshaun Watson. And when you're someone like Jay-Z in the music industry, you have no real morality. Trust me, there's a lot of women that can say, well, I did bend over for him in the closet, but I really didn't want to. And I was only 16 or 15. It will happen again, and it's the trap that they lay when you live your life controlled by your sexual identity and sexual lust. You're just opening yourselves up to accusations that will probably, unless he cuts a lot of mammoth checks and heads them off at the pass before they ever make it to Tony Busby's office. But yeah, Roger Goodell's boxed in here.
Jason, by the way, I don't know if you saw this, but I saw your old friend Stephen A. Smith sticking up for Jay-Z because I knew him.
Oh, we got that. No, we'll play the clip. Hold up.
Yeah,
hold up. Let's play the clip. Yeah, let's go ahead and play Stephen A. Smith. Go ahead and play it.
Anybody that's been around Jay-Z and knows him has seen him come to the defense of the most helpless amongst us, which are the children. I can't believe for 1 second that he would ever be associated with an allegation like this. And I felt it was important to bring that up because you got people out there. Stephen A., you had something to say about Diddy. Why aren't you going to have something to say about Jay-Z? Well, I don't know Diddy. I've met him a few times, talked to him a few times, absolutely. But I've known Jay-Z for 25 years. I don't believe it. Now, that's as far as I can go, because, again, if you can't provide eyewitness evidence to refute the allegations that have been levied against anyone, it's irresponsible to go over the airwaves and go any further than that. It is not irresponsible to point out who a friend of mine is. Somebody that I've come to know and love and don't believe for 1 second would be capable of such a thing. That's not irresponsible. That's love right there, because of what you know about a person based on your personal interactions with them, along with the people that have been around them. I don't believe it. And I tell you what also made me comfortable enough to come on the camera and say this to all of y'all. That quote that Jay-Z gave. Put it up there again, because I want the audience to see it again. I want to read the quote to you, okay? These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Bam! What he's saying is, let's go. Let's go to court.
It's such an immature, unsophisticated reaction by Stephen A. Smith. The Jay-Z, friends with R. Kelly. Are we not confident R. Kelly like young women, children? Or have we? Are we totally? Has Stephen A. ever watched the movie Almost Famous? What goes along with the music industry? Teenage girls. Rockers and teenage girls, singers and teenage girls. Jay-Z and Aaliyah, Jay-Z and Beyonce. She was a teenager when he met her. What, Stephen A., are you talking about? The man is a confessed, proud drug dealer, but there's lines he won't cross. This man sounds like a retard, a controlled retard. Embarrassing. Go ahead.
Jason, you know many more high-profile people than I have, right? Given your travels and the status of your career,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that they've run out of amok of the law. They've had situations, but I don't know. I don't ever recall you writing a column saying, "Well, I know him. He's my pal. He could never do this." I've always said sometimes you don't always have to speak out about anything. Sometimes just be silent because it can be golden. And let the jurisprudence play out. I mean, that's like me saying, well, I hung out with Manson. He was just moody. He was a decent guy at times. Or you know what? I knew the Menendez brothers. They were swell guys. They were just moody teenagers. Or Ted Kaczynski? He was misunderstood. I like the guy. Give me a break. I don't. This is almost like this. This is almost as if Stephen A. is not only jock sniffing, but hero worshiping, but at the same time, staying on code. That's a bad combination. I get everyone wants to stick up and defend their friends or acquaintances, but sometimes you're just better off, get this, saying nothing.
I've told this story before, but I spent a summer, my senior year of college or right after college, spent an entire summer working concert security, standing on next to stages and, protecting the performers or whatever. And this is 1989, 1990. Bon Jovi came to Indianapolis. First time I'd really ever heard his music. And this is Slippery When Wet was big. It's one of my favorite albums. But I saw and was overrun by a pack of 15 to 25-year-old girls that he jumped off stage. They told me beforehand, hey, he's going to jump off stage right behind you. Be prepared. A swarm of young girls ran me over to get to John Bon Jovi. And it was, I'm 21, 22 years old at the time, but it was eye-opening, like, oh my God, these young girls, they like Bon Jovi. And it's like, what man wants to deal with that? What moral man wants to deal with that a group of young women will do anything to get their hands on you? And I'm supposed to pretend that a former drug dealer who has a history of being attracted to teenage women, no way he would do this with a 13-year-old, maybe a 15-year-old, but not a 13. I can guarantee you, I know Jay. I mean, when you start talking about I know, does that mean you stayed the night at his house? You've had family dinners with him? The people that I know, I really know. It's you don't know, and maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe him and Jay-Z are best friends and they're in and out of each other's house and families spend Thanksgiving together. But this is clout chasing. This is, look how cool I am. I'm BFF with Jay-Z, and I'm going to swear up and down that some music artist wouldn't have sex with a teenage girl. That's retarded. And I don't mean to generalize about everyone, because I'm sure there are some that wouldn't. But that profession puts you in a position where you're going to have to tell some teenage girls no. And if you're drunk or high, you're far less likely to say no.
So just to be clear, you were standing front stage at Bon Jovi. You were not handing out ass passes back in the day.
Ass passes was
the backstage passes for you wasn't
No,
you wasn't there handing them out.
No, that was not my job.
You weren't getting the favors for the ass passes.
No, I didn't elevate. I probably had to do year 2 to elevate.
It was year 2.
But I only did it 1 year. Here's the funniest. This is a true story. It just crossed my mind. I'm working a rap concert, Public Enemy. I think it's at Market Square Arena in Indianapolis. And some drug dealer from New York was there. And he was offering me a bunch of money to be a security guard. You move to New York and be my bodyguard. I got you, big dog. Ain't nothing gonna happen to you. I need someone like you in my blah, 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 blah. I was like, nah, man, I'm good. I'm gonna go take a $5 an hour sports writing job. Anyway.
So Jason.
Go ahead.
You could have been his S1W. The iron, by the way.
Yes,
How many
yes.
white girls were at the PE concert? I heard Flavor Flav loved the groupies. He loved the vanilla, right?
You'd be shocked again how many white kids were at rap concerts and are at rap concerts. Yeah, there's a lot, but that was about a 50-50 crowd. Steve, I want to move on. Last thing here for you, Lamar Jackson. He prefers to wear women's scented cologne, and he's got a unisex cologne that he's endorsing, putting his name on. Here's Lamar Jackson talking about what he likes to smell like.
My cologne. What made me want to make my own cologne is me just wanting to smell good. Okay, people may not know this about me, but I rather prefer like girl perfume or something, like something real soft. So that's what made me want to create something unisex, instead of just all about us men. I was like, man, I like to smell like a female sometimes. So get something that can, be in between.
Can you describe the scent?
Wonderful, soft. For the women, sexy probably. For the guys, how we be, like a man. So you can get this right here on air8apparel.com. Nightlight.
Lamar Jackson is making unisex cologne. Very disappointing. Your thoughts?
That's no longer my MVP. I'll tell you that much. I would have loved for him to say, you know what, my cologne, I keep it old school. I go Drakkar or even cool water. But so you're telling me.
I think I still have some Drakkar.
Drakkar was the jam, baby.
We need to go back to some Drakkar. That was a solid cologne.
Yeah.
Now,
Drakkar.
So you're telling me for the past couple of years that Lamar may have been putting on a little fingertip full of Chanel No. 5? Say it ain't so. I didn't Michael Jordan have a cologne, and the joke was it used to smell like Spalding? And then now Trump's coming out with a cologne called Fight, Fight, Fight. I don't get it. I've always liked Lamar because he was a little bit more or less old school, but wow. So he used to put on female perfume because it's not cologne. Men wear cologne. Females have perfume. Say it ain't so, Lamar. Say it ain't so.
Completely raised by his mother. His mother was his football coach. He'd going to the beauty shop with his mama way too much, never the barber shop with his daddy. It is what it is. We've this whole unisex deal. He doesn't even know. He's just a pawn on the chessboard being moved around. They give him a little bag of money and, hey, promote this unisex stuff. He has no idea what he's involved in or how he's being used to manipulate. It's sad. I'm disappointed, and I'm sure at some point they'll have him in a dress, and everyone, he's free to do that. Don't you talk about Lamar.
All right. It's been decided.
Steve?
It's been decided. Okay, before I get out of here, I got to do some stuff here. But the picture on the wall, it should just be a big black bottle of Drakkar. That's what needs to replace the Caitlin Clark picture. That's it. It's been decided.
I like that,
Drakkar.
Steve.
Drakkar. It'll smell good, too.
I almost
It'll smell
thought
great on the wall.
I almost thought you were going to say I could, because it's Jim Brown. If someone needs to be, they got to be next to Jim Brown. And my favorite quarterback early in my football fandom was James Shaq Harris.
Shaq Harris.
Starting quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams. That's kind of, I fell in love with the Rams because of James Shaq Harris. Maybe I could put him up there. Steve, we're going to let you go. We'll see you next week. John Rocker, we got an interview with John Rocker we're going to do on Friday, tomorrow, so we won't see Steve. Steve, have a great weekend. Miami's not playing this weekend, so he doesn't have to root for Miami to cheat anybody this weekend. Before we get to Shemeka Michelle in the chat, and I got a question for Shemeka about Caitlin Clark and the dress she wore last night. Before we do all that, I want to tell you guys about Crowd Health. Let's be honest, the insurance model is broken. Thanks to Crowd Health, we can do something about it. Crowd Health puts your health care back in your hands. No huge premiums or high deductibles, no surprises. Use promo code FEARLESS at joincrowdhealth.com. That's joincrowdhealth.com. promo code FEARLESS. Shemeka and the chat. X. Shemeka, welcome to the show. I want to ask you a question. Shemeka, did you get to watch any of the interview I conducted yesterday with John Rocker? Did you get to see any of that? Or were you busy?
I didn't. I was busy. I apologize.
Well, at some point, after I asked you this about Caitlin Clark, I'm going to play you a teaser or two from that. But I wanted to ask you, I needed an expert on Caitlin Clark's dress last night. Caitlin Clark went to some Time award, or she received some award for Athlete of the Year. They had a big banquet, and she's on the red carpet, and she's wearing this dress. Can we put the picture of the dress up of Caitlin Clark in this dress? I'm not a fan of this dress. I don't think it doesn't fit what I believe to be her personality. I thought of Caitlin Clark as wholesome and more modest, and I don't even think it's the right dress for her body. She's very athletic. She's got broad shoulders. She doesn't have big breasts or much breast at all, really. I saw this and I thought, like, man, these leftists, these controllers, these people that are trying to position her a certain way, they got their grips all the way into her. They got her dressed up like she's one of these Hollywood harlots, and she's not. She's a girl from Iowa. Why does she need to be out here with her very small breast and chest exposed with these wide shoulders and this dress? Sounds like I'm being brutal and hard, but it's just like, man, I thought this was kind of the girl next door. There was an athlete. There was, wholesome. Why is she allowing them to position her this way? I just didn't like it at all. Your thoughts?
Yes, Jason. Initially, I thought maybe it was like some type of pantsuit. So I was trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, which would have made me overlook the top portion. But when I saw that it was actually a dress, I didn't like the dress. And I agree with you. I don't think it's the right dress for her body frame. It kind of put me in the mind of Vera DeMilo from In Living Color. Do you remember that character that Jim Carrey played? And so it's like, after thinking about that, that's all I can see. I can't unsee it. It just didn't give for me. Like, her stylist could have actually come up with something better that would have better fit her frame and been, a compliment to her body style. But yeah, it gave Vera to me, and that's all I can see.
The whole thing reminds me, you ever see a fat dude in skinny jeans and just go, hey man, come on, what are you doing? What are you doing? That's not for you, bro. Let that go. Yeah. I see it all the time.
Like a wisdom tooth. Yeah.
Yes. And so I'm telling you, if anybody ever sees me in skinny jeans, you have permission to slap me across my face and say, grow up, Whitlock. Don't do that. Don't do. And that's what I felt like. So I came. There's a picture of Caitlin with her standing between both her parents with that dress on, and I'm like, her mama didn't bail her out. Her mama done lost her ability. Daddy, it really should have been Daddy's job to be like, nah, baby girl, we not. I'm not doing that. And you're grown. You want to go out looking like that? I'm not standing there taking pictures with you with your tiny breast exposed out here because Hollywood is telling you. So I raised you better than that. Kids start making a little money, and next thing, anything goes, and you can't tell a woman nothing. But she looked crazy and off-brand, and it was just another indication to me, like, oh, these Hollywood leftists, they have their hooks all the way in Caitlin Clark.
Jason, every time you say tiny breasts, I'm wondering if they were bigger, would you still feel the same way? It's the tiny breasts for me. You said it several times.
No, I would feel, yes, I would feel the same way.
Okay.
This isn't her brand. She's wholesome. Her brand is girl next door.
She's Iowa.
Yeah. And so I'll give you the example. Sophie Cunningham. Her brand is not as wholesome. So it's more sexy. Sophie Cunningham doesn't have big breasts. And so if she put that dress on, I'd be like, well, I would have waited until I got a breast job, or Sophie, let me get you a breast job and then you can wear that dress. That would have been my complaint. But she would have been on brand. That's her brand. She likes to lean into being the sexy athlete. That's on brand. And so, no, it wouldn't have, the size of Caitlin's breast wouldn't matter. She looked far more attractive in the pictures Time magazine took than wearing that skimpy dress that she, and standing there with your parents with your breast out like that. It just, I don't do it. I don't get it, but
Jason,
I'm old.
I'm just glad in this conversation for two things. One, you didn't use the word moist. You tend to go to that word a little bit. Makes me.
Why are you trying to plant that seed in my head?
I was glad you didn't say the word scissoring or moist, because that comes up.
Yeah.
And I would actually like to see you get into a pair of skinny jeans, not just wearing the skinny jeans. That process would be something I think would be very, very socially driven.
They make oversized skinny jeans. I think
we should go for that.
I'm not even sure, because anytime I've seen one of these dudes in skinny jeans, it don't come near up to his waist. It's always halfway off his rear end and then tight all the way down. And I'm just like, bro, show some restraint. It's no different than these 280-pound women putting on yoga pants. I'm like, baby girl, come on now. Who told you that was the play for you?
Didn't tell you that's not the play for you.
But you see it all the time. You can't tell a fat black woman that she ain't got a body that's banging. And
I agree. In yoga pants, but can't touch your toes is crazy. Yeah.
If she sat down on a yoga mat, she wouldn't be able to get up. But she's wearing yoga pants. All right, Shemeka, before we get to the chat, I do want to, I think we got a little tease of just 20 seconds of, or do we have both of them? Maybe we can play them both back to, because I was supposed to play this stuff earlier in the show and I just forgot to, but tomorrow we got a pretty interesting, fascinating conversation with John Rocker. Here's a little taste of it.
We're in Yankee Stadium one time. I'm pitching. I go to check the runner on second. I see my center fielder, Andrew Jones, running in from center field. I'm like, oh, step off, umpire, timeout. He's all off the field. The bleacher creatures in center field in Yankee Stadium were throwing board darts at Andrew Jones. Darts you play darts with, they're lobbing those things at him from 150, 120 feet away.
The things that you want cannot be achieved without a relationship and understanding of God,
exactly,
His purpose.
But religion is just pigeonholing people to a certain set of rules and dress codes and dietary restraints.
It's a fascinating conversation. It goes places I didn't anticipate. At one point, John Rocker said, you're just born liberal. That something happens to you in the womb that gives you some sort of retardation of liberalism is basically what he really believes that. It's a form of retardation. You're just born liberal and there's nothing you can do about it. Fascinating conversation. People should check it out on Friday. Shemeka, what was popping in the chats today?
Well, Jason, when you asked who you should replace Caitlin Clark with, the chat sounded off. I mean, they had so many ideas, but there was one that stood out to me in particular. I don't even know how I saw it because it's not a super chat, but I will say John Falsetta says, put a poster of Shemeka up. And I mean, Jason, I am pretty athletic. So
I would get in trouble. It would be off brand if I put the cover of your book on our wall. That would be off brand, and I'd get in a lot of trouble, and guys would be irate with me on the Tuesday prayer call. So good suggestion, but I don't think we'll go with Shemeka. Next.
So Justin put a poll up, and he asked for Barry Bonds, Michael Irvin, Tim Tebow, or other. And it appears Tim Tebow won, that he should replace Caitlin Clark.
What are those percentages? I can't make them out. I'm trying to struggle to. What's the percentages there? What
Tim
percentage of the
Tebow
vote
had
did Tebow?
35%, Barry Bonds 23%, other was 30% though, and Michael Irvin 12%.
Steve Kim, Michael Irvin, not a popular choice, but Tim Tebow, not bad. I don't know if I can do better than Tim Tebow, but I'll give it some thought. Next.
Now we have a few super chats. I think it's 5. The Doran Williams show says, love Caitlin, and I believe she was forced to say that. The Marxist ring had to be kissed at some point. Even worse, the wokies will still hate on her.
Next. I got nothing for that. Next.
Bridget Connor, super chat, thank you, says, Jason, you should replace Caitlin Clark with former Braves pitcher John Rocker. Maybe even include one of his quotes about NYC.
Might be John posting that out there.
Yeah. John, thanks for the super chat.
Yeah.
Next.
Bob M says, Jason, I'm a big fan, but you are a part of the problem, and you need to stop giving Caitlin Clark and the WNBA airtime. Even with CC, they lose money. Instead, talk about a league that's worth talking about. F the WNBA.
Well, what league is worth talking about? We talk about the NFL. Anyway, I'm going to talk about Caitlin Clark when appropriate, but you know she ain't on our team. I'm not on her team. Next.
Christopher Powell, super chat. Finally, some Steve Kim. And don't you ever keep him off the show this long again. I was about to go to Mina Kimes for some real football commentary. Barry Bonds, please. Ban the Butterbox. Short lives matter.
That's pretty good super chat. I can't be more clever than that. That was good. Thank you for the super chat. Thanks for the cleverness. Next.
Mr. Jackson, 2002 says, The Dark Knight said it best about LeBron. You either die a hero or live long enough to be the villain.
Yeah, that's true. He said it much better than I did. I forgot. Because, see, I like Dark Knight Rises. Is that the second one? Is that the one with Bane? Mm-hmm. The one with Bane is my favorite of the Dark Knight Batman movies.
The chart's hitting. I mean, the chat's hitting.
Yeah. Was that the last one, or we got one more?
One more. I thought it was thought-provoking. Luke Limberg says, it makes you wonder if Clark was married, if this would have happened. Clearly, she feels the need to protect herself as if no one else will.
I do think she's done this thinking she's protecting herself. There was another route to go. She could have demanded protection. She could have demanded that this league, she could have used her leverage, and I would have threatened this league with starting my own. But again, most people, they want to do the path of least resistance. She's all locked in with Nike, and Nike, I'm sure, wanted her to do this. And so everyone's told her, hey, this is going to make it better, Caitlin, and just do this. Well, now she's at odds with her most passionate fan base. There are some people that just want to overlook it, and I enjoy Caitlin Clark, and I'm just one of the girl power, and I'm just going to continue to support her. And, you know, she'll change and she'll grow up. Nah, that league and that culture is unstoppable, and it would take a man to go in there and set that deal straight. No woman's going to take that heat. She took it for a season and folded and got no help from the league. No help. The league could have shut all this down, and someone in the league, an adult, could have been the bad guy standing up to these group of angry lesbians. But that's all they do is pander to Brittany Griner and that whole crowd, let them live in delusion. And so we've lost Caitlin Clark to the game and to a culture that's pretty unstoppable. Shemeka, great job as always. We'll see you next week because we got John Rocker tomorrow. No Shemeka, no Steve Kim. Just me and John Rocker tomorrow. I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation. I hope you enjoyed today's show. We'll play tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow.
Waiting for the countdown, coming off the breakdown, standing in line for freedom. Looking for a breakout, feeling like a standoff, nothing in life like freedom. Came in like a fighter, striking like a ladder, making all these moves for freedom. I want freedom. No negotiation, my system, no relation. We all just wanna have freedom. Sitting on the corner, never been alone. I'm breaking my back for freedom. Blessed, we are living, get back. We are receiving, all deceiving. We all wanna be free. We want freedom. I wanna be. I wanna be.